The Legend of Happy Butt by Cathy D. Slaght. Introduction. Fractal fairy tales are written in hopes of making sense of some principles of natural law quantum physics. This one is based on the 5th interview of Dr. Jameson Neruda, where he exposes a trick, or, as he puts it, a fundamental deception concerning humanity. Happy Butt must clear all this up. And no, The Legend of Happy Butt is not my autobiography. A friend was suspicious, because it features a genius who never gets to have sex. Which brings up one last point. To enjoy a fractal fairy tale, you must be totally irreverent and have a really weird sense of humor. Please read with that in mind. Chapter 1. The Outlier. Gladys's bed was gently shaking. It was 6:30 a.m. Time to start what was going to be a significant, hopefully life-changing day. The year 2050. Sitting up slowly, she first put on her computer, which, in her case, was embedded in her glasses. Next, she touched an icon on the wallpaper. Up sprang a creepy crawly, reporting the day's news. Icon on wallpaper? Creepy crawly? That's right. Since the early 2000s, computer power had doubled every 18 months. Now, computers and cameras were everywhere, in the walls, furniture, bed frames, clothes, even in contact lenses. It was like electricity in the olden days, invisible, but there. Soon, all this was to be downloaded into every human on the planet. Instead of wearing her glasses, Gladys would be her glasses. As far as creepy crawlies, by 2050, anyone of any prominence was also an acknowledged creepy crawly. Journalists, celebrities, political figures, educators, all creepy crawlies, minus the fake human shells that had worn before. Gladys had never known it any other way. She'd done a little research, but there wasn't much information. Most of the internet was now pornography, but apparently back in 2025, when it had first been revealed that creepy crawlies had been in charge of the planet for thousands upon thousands of years, the humans had responded joyfully. This was all explained in the history books. The humans should have already figured this out, because creepy crawlies left footprints of goo wherever they went. A few obviously mentally disturbed people had been upset about the creepies, though, so boom, just like that, they had been put on psych medications. This had been done with frequency. Those who hadn't responded to the meds were known as outliers. Some still existed. They were very dangerous, so much so that they had to live in hiding. Gladys ordinarily didn't think about things like this, but today she was going to step into history. She had been selected to take the first test drive in the new time machine. She knew she'd been chosen because of what had recently happened to her mother. Mother had been executed for offending someone. That meant that Gladys, too, was now expendable. The world, you see, practiced nihilism, the belief in nothing. Children raised this way were more obedient to the system. All religions were banned. Other than disobeying the government, there was only one sin. That was to state an opinion that offended someone. The penalty for this was death. As a result, there wasn't much conversation, and really wasn't necessary anyways, because all humans just about anyway worked in isolation out of their towers of power, 400-square-foot apartments and huge beehive-like structures. Most lived alone, except for mothers with children. Families were offensive. Life was wonderful, they were told, but not so much for Gladys. At birth, something irregular had turned up in her DNA scan. First they tried to diagnose her as autistic, then schizophrenic, before realizing she suddenly had a very high intelligence. Because of this, she was monitored closely. That's how she hit adolescence. It had been discovered that she was heterosexual, attracted to men, not women. This was offensive to the majority of the population. Men were to be with women, women with women. Children were to be raised as transsexual whenever possible. Test tubes took care of reproduction. Because of this offensive sexual pattern, Gladys had been placed under the care of a psychiatrist. She had to see him every week via her wallpaper. Ridicule was the control mechanism of choice by then, even more powerful than meds. It always got people back in the herd. The psychiatrist, with this objective in mind, had tormented her each week by calling her gladass and or happy butt, and making fun of her embarrassment. Gladys withdrew even more into her own world. She wondered if this internal privacy would be possible once technology was downloaded into her body. Anyway, yesterday, when her psychiatrist appeared in the wallpaper and said, "Gladass, you have been selected for the trial run in the time machine," she thought, why not? This is the end of part 1 of the Legend of Happy Butt. If you would like more information or to continue to find out what happened, please come to cathydslat.com. It's right here. You can come right down here where it says Cathy's blog. You can click on that. And where it says Cathy's blog, you can click here and it will take you right to the next day's blog, or it will be posted here in a list. Fractal Fairy Tales. Thank you for listening to part 1, and we look forward to your return. Take care.